Hello, everybody. How is everybody doing?
Hey y'all.
We are in Nags Head, North Carolina, and we just are camping. We are dry camping out here, um,
Hey TS.
and it's a beautiful night. There's a bunch of other campers here. The place is almost full, but the weather is pretty good. But you believe it or not, there's still mosquitoes out here,
Oh God.
and it's what? How cool? It's in the 60s probably.
I don't know, but those mosquitoes is eating me up.
It's unbelievable that cold weather mosquitoes. We're hoping that maybe have a couple nights real cold.
Beach Bum said they've had 4 days of rain, and she's taught her dogs how to bounce on the towel to wipe their paws, dance
I
on.
wish ours do that.
Yeah,
We're actually going to be over here in Nags Head till
Wednesday.
we're going to go over and see where the Wright brothers flew, and see some of the sights of the graveyard of the Pacific, as they say. Um, I know all of y'all have heard that there has been an arrest in the Delphi murder cases, but they're not. The press conference really didn't give us any details this morning. I listened to it, and it was just they should have just not even tried to answer questions, because they basically didn't answer questions. And they, hats off to that investigative crew and the task force, because they really did a good job. And I just got a feeling, I don't have any evidence to it, but I've got a feeling that there's going to be more arrests in this case, maybe one more. Um,
And you said earlier you're not sure that that was his first murders.
no, I think that, one thing you got to think about, he staged these people, according to the investigation, he staged the bodies and he took a trophy. So that tells me he hasn't done this. I mean, he may have done this before. And if you talk to any law enforcement, they'll tell you that normally they work up to it. They might have just maybe done a rape or a molestation or, uh, something else to work up to that point of actually killing somebody. Um, but it's almost like he's really done this before, because he staged the crime scene and he took a souvenir, which, you know, and he lived within um,
Okay.
a couple of miles of the bridge, so it was
Love
kind of
Lands wants
strange.
to know, what do you mean by staging?
According to um, some of the stuff that I read, and this was an FBI agent that actually wrote. I think he actually wrote a search warrant, or this was back about a couple months ago. He said that the bodies were staged. Now, what that means is the bodies could be posed, like he could have laid them out, posed them in a certain position. He could have, you know, there was some indication from what that FBI agent said that maybe the bodies were even moved. Maybe they were moved uh, some distance from where the actual crime scene took place, the actual killing did, but that they were staged. So it could have been what I mean by that is, um, I've heard of people of murders that the people lay them out like they're dead, with their hands like crossed on them like this, or lay them out with their hands straight up above their head, or um, lay them in some type of sexual position. It's whatever's in the deviant guy's mind, the murderer's mind. He could pose them in a certain way. Um, I think there's been several killers that pose their people in a certain way. People they killed.
Beach Bum says he has 3 charges he has 3 charges, 2 in this county and 1 in another county.
Well, I don't. Is that? But on this arrest, is it this arrest? Because this is what I copied from another article. It says prior to this arrest, a suspicion of double homicide. It appears he has no criminal record. However, the Carroll County Jail lists him going by an alias of Craig Ross Renfro. So that tells me maybe he did have an arrest in another location. And it says here, and here's the key I think everybody's missing, and I forgot about this. This comes by, just months ago, the police were spotted searching the Wabash River in Peru, around 40 minutes east of Delphi in August, after investigators urged members of the public to come forward with information about an online catfishing account in December. And I think the catfishing account was this guy right here. He, as you know, he was the one that said that his 27-year-old Indiana fell under the spotlight last year when the online account had been used to groom underage girls online. It was tied to the teenage victims. His home had been searched on suspicion of child porn charge just 2 weeks after the 2017 murders. And on December 21, police announced officials had uncovered a fake online profile called Anthony Shots. And, they, part of the thing about them sealing the probable cause arrest report may be because this guy may be involved, or another person may be involved. And here's another thing. This other person that may be involved may be the ones that implicated Richard Allen, because where they searched the river, that may be what they were searching for, was the souvenir that was taken from the day of the murders. I can't imagine what else they would be searching for.
Those type people kind of hang together, don't they?
Yeah, but
Okay, one thing. TS said, sounds like they could have run away from someone like that, doesn't it? Because he had a limp. But if he told them he had a gun, I mean, these are kids. They would have.
Yeah, and one thing about this, though, I would doubt that there'd be more than one person involved in the murder, though. I would doubt it. Because it's been 5 years since there's been any type of arrest. 5 years. And it would be easier for someone to cover it up that long. This is one of the pictures I got from one of the news things. This looks a lot like that picture they put out. And this is another one. This up above this, you see the red arrow? That is actually his picture he posted on Instagram, where inside of a location he worked. And this is right above that is the picture above the arrow. There's a picture, the drawing of the person that was posted as the suspected of being the Delphi killer. And the picture to the right apparently comes from a video where his wife sneaks up on him in the car. He's doing something, and that blue jacket he's wearing looks real familiar with the blue jacket of the bridge guy. But I've seen several pictures, and this guy looks just like him. And also, this is the really weird thing. This is the girl, and I know y'all have seen this probably. This girl is the Richard Allen's daughter. Her picture was taken on the bridge, the same bridge that the bridge guy was on, and she favors one of the kids that were killed, the I can't put the name with it right now. I should have got that. I apologize, but she really, really favors her. So it's just really, really strange, and I think a lot of stuff is going to come out of after this.
Maddie wants to know, do
Um,
you think there are other victims?
I think there's other victims just because who takes a souvenir on the first time, who play stages the bodies on the first time.
Yeah.
I just think it is too much. And see here, you can see the red arrow that points actually to a sketch of the subject. And while he was so confident in himself and not getting caught, that he would worked at CVS, and they were, and even her. I think he helped the victim's mother.
Didn't charge him for pictures.
Yeah, something like that. Didn't charge him with pictures.
Which one was taken out of the jail to show Ellie an area? And Sing to Me said the recording has the girl Abby asking if that was a gun, and also the limp was fake.
Well, I don't know. I didn't hear the whole tape. I didn't know the tape was the whole. I didn't know the whole tape was available. I knew that the hey hey guys down the hill. I thought that was the only thing that police had released. I
Fishing for
didn't
the
know
Truth
they
says,
they had released
I
everything.
don't see what a motive would be here.
Well, motive. If I think the motive in itself would be that he's just a sick individual. He's a pervert, sick. If just like Bundy. What was Bundy's motive? He was just a sick serial killer.
Hey, fishing for the truth. Hey, we're glad you're here. She says first time here.
Yeah, glad to have you here. But just like anything, like with Ted Bundy, it was more or less he had a perverted sexual addiction that originated something from his past. So
do you think it was a sexual motive? Fishing for the truth.
I don't know, because I don't know how he posed the bodies. If he posed the bodies in some type of sexual position, or if there was any type of I don't know I don't know how they posed the bodies, and I don't know if there was any type of I think they have not published. They said if the girls were raped. They haven't publicly said that if they were molested, or
did
what
even
the
tell how they
souvenir.
killed?
No, they're not even saying how they were killed or what the souvenir was. I mean, if it was an undergarment or something like that, then they very well could have been taken because of that. It takes a lot. First off, it takes a lot of people will, these serial killers will rape them either prior to killing them or post mortem. And even some, I think the Green River Killer, I've read a lot about the Green River Killer, and he even admitted going back to the killing grounds where he dumped the body and had sex with the corpses. So we don't know,
Okay.
what
Fishing for the Truth
what is
says.
this?
Fishing for the Truth says one of the girls had a bag on her head. Sorry to say it like that, and the other was topless. With all due respect, we hadn't heard that.
How do you know that? Yeah. How do you know that to be true? Because I have not heard that, and I have not read that anywhere, and I've read just about every piece of stuff that's out there. One thing is we got to be careful not to believe everything we hear in there, because I'm going to tell you this myself. I did 33 years in law enforcement. I worked homicide, I worked narcotics, I worked all of this stuff, and I've worked people that are dead. And if you go out on a homicide scene like this, that type of information is never released, because that should be held back. Because when if say you're interviewing somebody and he admits to the crime, you've got to know, how did you leave the bodies? And if he says, oh, well, I just left them in the woods or something, you're not dealing with a true suspect. So, you know, I'd like to know where this information came from about that, because that would not be what I would expect a true investigator to be releasing, because that's the type of stuff you ask the guy when you got him in there. How, if he's talking, you ask him, how did you leave the bodies? How did you leave so and so's body? Did you do anything particular to her? And if he says, yeah, he put a bag over her head, you got the right guy. But so I'm kind of wondering.
It's on a podcast. I'll be right back. I'll find it. Okay.
Yeah. But I'll be honest with you, just because it's on a podcast, doesn't make it the truth. And that's what we say. I will never tell you anything on here as being the truth unless I got it from the horse's mouth, or you got it in like from a news service that they can, usually a news service is going to, they're going to research it and be able to back it up because they don't want to get sued. So, I've never heard it. I've never heard that. But, a lot of times, usually when you do work a crime scene, you do not release all that information. You sure don't release the information about how they were killed or what position the bodies were found in, because you want to be able to you want to hold something back so you can determine if you really have the right person. Because a lot of times you're going to have people come in and say they did it because they want to have, they want to be able to confirm that you are the one that did it if they're questioning you.
Okay. Brittany said dispatch records used to be printed in our paper. Are they, because the dispatchers would have known a lot. So
yeah, but they're not going to know what's at the scene like that. Dispatchers are not. Your dispatch records a lot of times in the paper will be a small town. They'll be like dispatched a call to. This might be dispatched a call to so and so to a parent. If at the very least, at the very most, they would say investigate a possible body. They might say that. I can't see the dispatchers even knowing all of that information, because when you're at a crime scene, honestly, they're the only people that are at that crime scene that knows what's going on is your investigators at the scene, your crime scene photographer, and your supervisor, and maybe your police officers that one went out there and found the bodies with the person that said, hey, he knows where they're at, and the people that are securing the scene. But you are told when you're at a scene like that, you are told nobody speaks of this, period.
But is the dispatch records public information?
They may be public information, but they're not going to have stuff like that on them. I'm telling you, they're not. I have the type of dispatch records are going to be like who got the call when, the times that the coroner arrived, the times that the crime scene investigators arrived, the times that the detectives arrived. They're not going to say the bodies were found in this position. That is not going to happen. I've never seen anything like that. The only person that's going to have the information about how the bodies were found is the crime scene guy that's taking the pictures and the detectives at the scene and a supervisor. And maybe the officers that were dispatched out there, but you're not going to have, I do not think that information, I'd be very surprised if that information is true. I'd be very surprised.
Well, if it is, it got out there, but it wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, that information could kill the case. You have somebody that comes up and, it's just like the guy. You remember the the Sean Benet Ramsey, the John Benet Ramsey case. Well, you had that idiot over there in Thailand. I can't think of his name. He said he killed her, and he was a registered sex offender. He was could have been a prime suspect, and then what is your email?
No, she gave it to us.
Okay.
She sent it to our email. Thanks,
Okay,
Fishy.
good. I appreciate it. Well, anyway, this guy over there in Thailand said, oh, he did it. And he even had a little bit of details that he read in the press. But what happened was they confirmed that he wasn't even in the United States when this happened. So, you've got some people just do this sort of thing to draw attention to themselves. So that's what I'm saying. They have to hold back and do it. And believe me, please look. Like I said, I was a police officer 33 years. I was a detective for over 20 years. And I can tell you this from my own experience with crime scenes and dealing with murders and rapes and all kinds of stuff I've dealt with, narcotics, that you do not put stuff like that out to the public. It just does not. It is a big no. People will lose their jobs over doing stuff like that. And I would be very surprised. And just cause a podcast says it, it doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it true. It doesn't.
I'm sorry, my legs
are. Yeah, if you want to email us for any reason, ours is the missing livestream at gmail.com. We'll be glad to answer you privately, or I'll be glad to look this up and find out how they know this, because if somebody's putting that out there, they better be able to prove how they know it, because they could easily be called before grand jury if this information was gotten some other some other way. I could easily see a grand jury calling them as a witness to see how they did it. But just the fact that they were searching a creek out there a few months back prior to this guy being charged, it might be because they had information that maybe they saw him dump something in the river, or that they heard from a source that he was bragging about dropping something in the river. Do you all cover Debbie Collier case?
Did we cover the Debbie Collier case?
I don't know.
If you have some information on it.
If I haven't, I'm going to tell you about a case that we are going to cover next week, or this coming Thursday if we have.
What is that, Beach Bum?
If we have, I don't know what that is.
App Mooch Homies.
I don't know who that is or what that is.
What?
Toby, I had to block you, buddy, because I don't know what that is, and I don't need you to be putting crazy junk on here. It's we got a case that is old. It's a cold case, and we've got we really want to take a look at it, and I'll show you to you. We hope to do that this Thursday if we have internet, which I don't see why we wouldn't. But
yeah, so we'll be back on Thursday night unless something happens.
Unless something happens, we should be on Thursday at 7:00. We think we are going to be in down near Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, on Thursday, hopefully. Oh,
good. Sing to me. How do you contact us?
Yeah, send us an email.
To the missing livestream at gmail.com.
Yeah. This case, everybody was following this case, and it's been in all of our minds. Everybody's been praying for it, that this guy be found. There's no doubt in my mind that I believe this is the guy. I believe there's a lot more information that's coming forward. But
Did
there
they
may
say his
be
wife knew?
there may be something. No, they said his wife worked. I think his wife works at a similar place than he did. But I don't. I'm sure. I'm sure they probably thought something. But you look
Okay.
at this picture. He looks like, with the hat on and everything. To me, he looks like that bridge guy.
Listen, Mary said, Thomas, I believe a search team with normal townspeople included were the ones who came across the scene. Unfortunately, they shouldn't have repeated what they've seen, but you know how that goes.
Yeah. Well, only thing with that is, didn't they have a large contingency of law enforcement out there searching that area
Well,
after this? They had.
if they had if they had average people out there, somebody in a
Yeah.
small town, they're gonna
Yeah.
talk.
That only thing is, I've never heard that before.
Yeah, TS said she had heard it too.
I hadn't heard that. I've heard that supposedly I heard that they were staged, but I never heard about the bag or being nude. But we do want to remind everybody, and if you'll send me that information, I will look it up and I will read on it, read about it. Uh, Also, remind you that we are still looking for the Michael Vaughn case. Any evidence in the Michael Vaughn case? He is still out there missing, and no evidence to speak of has been tied to his crime yet. Um,
Give them the one that we're going to.
yeah, I'm looking for this. Is this it here, or is that the one? No,
No,
that
that's the
was
one about that girl that was kept captive for
yeah,
weeks.
for weeks. Let's see. Y'all, we talked about this girl. I think over here, the one from Princeton. I think it was. Uh, yeah, this is the one from Princeton that her brother reached out to various people, and they got a GoFundMe page. Princeton blew it off as being just a unknown death. Basically, they didn't say. There was not much said about it. She became missing. They found her near a tennis court where they have gathered over $100,000 for the family to do a autopsy, a re-autopsy on her body to find out if she was murdered or not. Young, healthy people don't just wind up dead. Just fall out dead and not have any explanation about what caused the death. Um, this is the girl that we're going to cover from Mississippi. That's a cold case. Right here. This case happened in 1992 from Tupelo, Mississippi, and it's actually over there where Medina's stepmother was from. She just turned up missing. Today's date, she would be now. She would be 43. It's when she's 13 years old.
Beach Bum said, "Slow down. You're going so fast she can't type and keep up.
I know
Slow down." She is, so slow down.
Okay.
I slowed him down some, Beach Bum.
Okay. Anyway, this is the one we're going to cover on Thursday, and this is a cold case out of Tupelo, Mississippi. She would disappear when she was 13 to make her 43 now. She is 4'10", 95 pounds, and basically, I could tell you what she was wearing, but it's not going to help you now because it's been so long with that. She was white female, blonde hair, hazel eyes, strawberry birthmark on her base of her skull.
And there's a lot of stuff out there on the internet, but to get a fresh set of eyes on it and to keep her in the
I know that
news.
Yeah, neighbors really freaked out about this case because they feel like it was just very, very odd You want to read that, and we'll talk about
Lee
it
was
next
last
time.
seen at her
I don't have
family's.
to read everything, just the top.
All right. Leah was last seen at her family residence at the 100 block of Honey Oak Locust Drive in Tupelo, Mississippi on August 27, 1992. Her mother, Vicki Felton, saw her before leaving for work at 7:35 a.m. Lee planned to attend an open house at her school that day and was waiting for her grandmother to come pick her up. It was the first time her mother had left her home alone. There were heavy storms that day as Hurricane Andrew moved over the area, and Lee's mother was concerned for her as a result. Her mother tried to call her at 8:30, got no answer. She tried to call once more before returning home, but there was still no answer. Her mother became worried and returned home to check on Lee and discovered that the garage door was open, the light was on, meaning the door had been activated in the past several minutes. Another door in the house was left unlocked. There was no sign at the scene. She was not seen again.
Yeah, it said fresh, steel, wet stain, typo blood were inside the house, on the walls, the carpet, and in the bathroom countertop. There was a blood-stained trail leading from the hallway to the living room and the back door. The blood and her hair stuck to the door frame, suggesting Lee hit her head on the door frame. So, she was obviously taken out of the house. But the weird
Was there
thing
a step
about
parent involved?
I don't think so. The weird thing about this case was this girl wore glasses, and somebody sent the glasses back.
Didn't they send them to her stepfather?
They sent them. Let's see if I can tell you exactly where it was. They sent the glasses back to the family, basically. Yeah. Let's see.
14 months after her disappearance, a skull was found in the soybean field and identified as Lee's. But
Right,
it turned out that
turned
the
out
state
not.
examiner was not using Lee's most recent dental records, and the skull wasn't hers after all. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Lee's stepfather was named Barney Yarborough, and he and Lee's mother separated a short time before disappearance. The street name, let me see, here it is about the thing here. Her mother, let me see, street name on they received an envelope. Street name on the address of the envelope was misspelled, Honey Locust, and the envelope had 6 stamps, twice as many as needed. I tell you that when you put all those stamps on the envelope, they don't look good. And was potentially postmarked Boonesville, Mississippi, a town about 30 miles north of Tupelo.
Her glasses were what was in there, and
yeah.
nothing else was in the envelope.
And I know that there is some talk about now as following up with DNA on the envelope and on the stamps, and that's something that is doing. But they said a lot of that stuff doesn't have enough material to be tested. That's what I'd read.
Okay, but listen, let's go ahead and read that.
Okay.
About a month after Lee's disappearance, her glasses arrived at her residence in the mail. They were addressed to B. Yarborough, Lee's stepfather, who was named Barney Yarborough, and he and Lee's mother had separated a short time before her disappearance. The street name and the address and envelope was misspelled, yada, yada, yada. There was nothing else in the envelope. Handwriting and forensics test in the envelope yielded no results. The stamps had been wet with water, so there was no DNA. The person that mailed the glasses has never been identified, but police think the glasses were mailed to mislead the investigation. 14 months after her, we read that. I can't imagine getting notice that your daughter's skull's been found and then it turned out to not be. Authorities stated that they had very little evidence to determine who was responsible for her disappearance. Several people of interest has been interviewed, but no one has been charged in the connection. Felton was given 3 body polygraphs and failed them all, but she hasn't been identified as a suspect. She stated she believes Oscar Mile Kearns, a local man who knew Lee through church, was responsible for her disappearance. 9 months after Lee's disappearance, Kearns abducted a 15-year-old girl from her home in Memphis, Tennessee, sexually assaulted her, and released her. He had also known the victim through church. Kearns pleaded guilty to rape and was sentenced to 8 years in prison, but was released after less than 4. After his release, he kidnapped a married couple and raped the wife and was sent back to prison. He's scheduled for release in 2019.
You know, why these people they're releasing these rapists from prison, I'll never know. They don't quit raping.
TS, they couldn't get the DNA off the stamps because they knew they used water. I use a lot of times. I use water. I don't lick them if they're not self done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do murderous people mail back trophies?
Well, you never know what if they're trying to mess with the parents. Maybe. You know, I think the
There's
Zodiac.
a lot of people who do that.
If you read a lot about the Zodiac killer, the Zodiac did stuff. You know, he toyed with the police. He did a whole lot of stuff. And I think he even mailed stuff to the newspaper and kind of stuff like that. So you never know what is in their mind is
yeah, they send
gravity of his
fingers
mind.
and more.
Yeah.
Sing to me, I was in South Korea when the USS Pusan was taken by the North Koreans. Oops, sorry. The USS Pueblo. I was thinking of Pusan. USS Pueblo was taken by the North Koreans. And they sent a South Korean spy over there to see if he could find out anything. And they sent him back in pieces.
This was, is this the same one that we were looking at? This is what Wikipedia has on it, which is, sometimes they're a little bit more straightforward, but it's basically the same thing. It talks about finding the skull. It talks about Nancy Grace had covered this in a podcast pretty extensively.
Hey, cheat no more.
Let me see. They've got a lot of sources too with their this article. Background here said she was born in Hawaii, Honolulu, Hawaii, to Donald.
He was in the Army. Yeah.
U.S.
The
Army.
couple met while he was serving in California and married in 1977. The couple eventually divorced. He remained in contact with his daughter, who visited him in Hawaii. On the morning of her disappearance at the age of 13, and she was at their home, when her mother departed for work. So her mother was a person of interest for a while, and she failed polygraph.
Well, we don't know why,
Okay, but that's what it said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That she said shortly after arriving at her office, she was notified that the storm related to Andrew was headed to Tupelo, and phoned her house to inform her daughter. And so, sometime after 9 a.m. That's different than the other article.
Mm-hmm.
When Ocha failed to answer, Felton came worried and left her job to check on her, driving approximately 1.5 miles back to her home. She found the garage door open, the light on, the interior of the house. She noted smeared on the side of the walls. She started calling Leah and going through the rooms.
And it says here the initial search efforts. Upon further inspection of the house, law enforcement found additional pools of blood in Ochoa's upstairs bedroom, as well as significant portions smeared on the hallway and bedroom and on her bedroom door. Blood found in the bathroom indicated to law enforcement that the predator had attempted to clean the scene. Felton claimed that several of her daughter's articles of clothing were missing inside the laundry hamper in the house. Detectives discovered a bloodied nightgown belonging to I guess that's deep pronounce that Ochi.
Because it looked like the blood had dipped down into her nightgown.
Might be, and he was trying to clean something up.
Yeah.
You would think the injury had to had to be above the neck, possibly. The house showed no sign of forced entry. Um, immediately following.
Immediately following Ocho's disappearance, organized searches were conducted in Tupelo, mainly through wooded areas, but they proved fruitless. Ochi's father, Donald, felt that his daughter was dead the day his wife called me and told me she was missing. My theory was that some bee beat the child to death in that house. He said he stated that while searching for his daughter in Tupelo September 92, he was told by several locals to look at her mother. However, he commented, I already was doing that. I don't know if her mother was involved. Additional rumors circulated that alleging that Ochi's stepfather, Barney Yarborough, whom her mother had recently separated from, was abusive toward Ochi. Yarborough was ruled out by law enforcement, however, after providing substantial alibi and passing a polygraph.
This talks about the mailing of the glasses there again.
On September 4th, 8 days after she went missing, a worker at McDonald's law enforcement told officers that he had seen a girl resembling Ocha in a car in the restaurant drive-thru. However, the child in question was determined to have been someone else. 5 days later, a package containing Ocha's glasses were mailed to the residence. The package was postmarked from Boonville. After development, FBI became involved and performed DNA testing on the stamps adhered to the envelope which the glasses were mailed. However, it was determined that they had adhered with water, not saliva. Aquari stated he felt the glasses were mailed as a distraction. There was no ransom or anything like that came with those glasses. You would think if it was an actual kidnapping, you would expect a ransom note or something. Let's see. On November 9th, 93, it was reported in the Jackson Clarion Ledger that Monroe County coroner, had performed.
And you got to think about this too. Maybe them sending the glasses to them like that was to taunt them, to make them worry about their child, to bring back memories of their child. You're off the screen there, Dana.
Well, honey, my legs are bothering me.
It would be to maybe taunt them in some way to
just so you know,
cause them some distress.
Your crew is back on Delphi.
Okay.
Just so you know.
I just wanted to show you, these are the pictures of her, and the one at the top right would be a picture age progression, and the bottom center, and this is the house that in the day that she was missing from. So
here Sing to Me says, by the way, the distance from Richard Allen to the Moonon Bridge is 3.3 to 3.7 miles, but less than 2 miles by foot.
Yeah, and that's weird. I mean, you think there are some beliefs in law enforcement that a lot of killers will kill near their home, near where they live, because then they feel like that they have a pretty easy escape. They can be inside their house and be safe with a little amount of time.
Mary said the Zodiac killer scared her to death, and I was terrified when my sister and I were waiting for our school bus in the mornings. Isn't it sad that we live in a world like that?
I've always liked watching and reading and studying about serial killers like the Zodiac. I've studied about him an unbelievable amount of information. The Zodiac killer, they've even, they think they may know who the Zodiac killer is. I think they've had some evidence through DNA, plus they had somebody come forward and said, my father was him, and gave them some information and some evidence, but I think they pretty much know who he was. Um, I liked reading about the Green River Killer. I've read so many books about that, and also the Atlanta killings of over there in Atlanta, and the Golden State Killer, BTK, and they're all interesting because they give us uh, information and how things are done. And so if you were like when I was in law enforcement, if we saw a crime committed in a certain way, um, because just like the FBI agent reported that the bodies were staged, that is not a normal. Just somebody just happened to, you happen to see somebody out on this trail, and just for whatever reason, uh, it's a crime of opportunity. You might say, um, it's a crime of opportunity. They just kill them and do whatever sexually to them they want to do to them. That may be, that might have been a crime of opportunity, but you got to remember this: there was two girls. To attack two girls, even small girls like that. And I understand there was some information came out about it that one of them really fought back because there was a large amount of blood found. That was the only thing that I remember. They said there was a large amount of blood found. So you got to think, uh, who attacks two girls? You know what I'm saying? What?
Cheat No More says, Thomas, I want to know if Richard Allen has been under surveillance for the entire time since the murders. There's a lot of foliage leading to his house to hide in if he walks
I don't
back.
think so. He might have been. I heard earlier there were some people talking, law enforcement were talking about this, and they said, "Do you think that maybe he was under their radar for a while?" And that could be. That could be that they gathered some information and they about him, and maybe kept an eye on him. But I doubt he's under surveillance. Listen, it is very hard to watch somebody under surveillance in a big city, much less a small town. You don't there, you can't just park cars out on the street. I mean, people are going to see you, and they're going to, people are going to talk. So,
Let's tell them about the time that you were doing surveillance on a house and the girls at church were having
yeah,
a
we
we
were
were doing
sitting in the middle of a park in total darkness,
and
total
we
darkness,
were doing a
watching a methamphetamine house.
what we were doing a scavenger hunt.
Yeah, and all of the sudden, these people walk up to us in their car and said, "Hey, we need a picture of an undercover car and
No, no,
a police
they
car."
thought you were going to give them the next clue.
Yeah,
Hey, Tommy, you going to give us the next clue?
yeah,
Hey,
we were
Officer
sitting
Green.
in a place where ain't nobody should have been. I mean, we were in a dark, dark park, in the middle of the park with our lights off. Been sitting there about an hour watching a house that had a meth lab in it, and these people come up out of nowhere. So in a small town, it would be almost impossible for them to do surveillance. Now, they could, if they suspect somebody, they could get a court order and get an electronic bug put on his car, that would be able to follow him on on a computer anytime he leaves his house. They'd be able to follow him by car, follow his car. But we don't know if he was a suspect, how long he was a suspect, or anything.
Sing to Me said, whoops, wait a minute, I missed it. Sing to Me said, I don't believe Wayne Williams. No, T.S. Jackson said something else. Oh, yeah, the amount of DNA needed these days is like 11 or 12, which is the smallest trace amount, less than the amount of a hair follicle. Dang. And T.S. said, I don't believe Wayne Williams did all those child killings. He was actually convicted of only killing 2 adults with some pretty flimsy evidence.
Well, I understand that they did have a confession out of him, but he did confess. All they needed was one or two. That's all they needed. Sure, I think a lot. Some of that might have been a copycat also, but I think he did confess, if I'm not mistaken. But just like that, with this case, I think that we'll find out. It's something that they're gonna have a preliminary hearing on this case in March or February, March. But I forgot. I think it's in March they're gonna have the trial. Anyway, it's next year. It's next year. At 5 years, 8.5 months ago, press conference, Carter knew he was been present. That's a mugshot between the two sketches. Proven to me.
TS says he never confessed to those killings, and she knows that for a fact, or that she knows of. Sorry about that.
Okay. Wait, what did she say there? Because I'm not.
At the 5 years, 8.
Let's read it here because I don't remember. Okay. At the 5 years, 8.5 months press conference, Carter knew he was the perps been present, and his mugshot between the two sketches would prove it to us. Watch it again now that it's out there. Okay, I will. I'll watch it. But when they had the press conference and the state trooper said, they believe that it could be your neighbor, that he could be out there among them at any time. Well, he was. But I would bet, and I don't have any evidence to prove this, but I would bet that either he's done this before or he's been with somebody that's done it before. I mean, who does that? Who stages somebody, attacks two people, stages them, and takes a souvenir without doing it before? That sounds like to me that he's done it before.
Cheat No More said he did state that the killer might be in that room.
Who?
The one Carter said in that news conference. He said,
yeah, he did say, but I don't know that he was referring to that guy being there. I think it was more or less, hey, we don't know who it is, and we don't know who it is, but
Beach Bum said, I feel he was hovering and keeping tabs on the progress.
Well, the thing is, he may have wanted to leave town when they started putting out these sketches that look like him. If he's smart enough to know that he didn't need to try to drastically change his appearance and draw attention to himself. He didn't shave his beard. He didn't leave town. Yeah. So, if you had a small town like that and the police are out there and they're working, and investigators, and they're working their informants, and all of a sudden you got a guy that leaves town, just takes his family and leaves for no apparent reason, never talked to anybody about, hey, we're going to take a job in, Denver, or we're going to leave here, put your house up, sell it, but just disappears overnight. That's one you want to watch. Or if the guy changes his appearance, all of a sudden he shaves his beard off, but I'm going to tell you, he looked like him to me, and it may have been that he actually grew his goatee a little longer to keep people from saying, you favor that guy.
Sing to Me said, I think Carter was referring to Allen being present in the searches.
It could be. They'll know that because when you're a person going out and searching like they did, if their police department is worth the salt, they will, you'll have to register as a volunteer. You'll come up there and you fill out a thing, your name, your first name, last name, your date of birth, your address, and a phone number where they can get in touch with you. And the reason why is because they want to check even though they may have 100 volunteers, they'll go ahead and run them. They have somebody over there on the NCIC computer running everybody to make sure they don't have anybody wanted or the killer suspected, you know, they want to find out. So, or they may have, say they get information that John Doe is the killer. And one of the guys say, well, I remember him being out on our search detail. They'll pull it out, pull his card out. Says, yep, right here he is.
Hey, that's like a firebug person that goes.
Yeah, that goes out to the fires. The guy that goes to the fires and watches the fires burn, and he's a volunteer fireman and all this kind of stuff. You know, that's a thing. But I think that if he was a part of the search crews, that might be because he's trying to find out what they know, you know, kind of being involved with it.
Who murders and goes to the funeral.
Yeah. How come his wife and daughter did not recognize the BG as many times as it was posted? Well, I'll tell you something. You know, even though it did look like him, there's, you know, I know guys there was guys that worked in my office and worked in our PD that, you know, could be somebody in that wanted poster, but there's been no way that was him, you know? So it probably,
hey Gail,
probably was, you know, it probably was, you know, it did look like him, but it just didn't have enough.
Seem to me says his wife has the most nervous laughter. Where did you see? I didn't see where she was interviewed or anything.
I haven't either.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find out anything real quick.
Gail said she's sorry she's late. She'll watch the replay.
Let me see.
We always feel sad for the family.
I can't
Mary,
type
that
tonight.
would be scary. To be, you know what? Sometimes when people say to me, "Hey, you look familiar," I tell them we took care of that America's Most Wanted thing. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. I was just looking.
Yeah, maybe she wasn't willing to upset her apple cart. The video was from her Facebook page on a podcast.
Like I said, let's you know what I mean? I don't know. Let me see here just a second.
Mary, next time just tell them you took care of that America's Most Wanted.
Let me see if I can copy this and play it if it's not too long. This was actually the family talking about it, which I didn't see this. It may be too long. Maybe not. It's downloading. Just a second here. We'll see if we can't watch it together.
It always catches them off guard when you say, "No, I took care of that America's Most Wanted thing."
Okay. Hold on one second.
Yeah, Beach Bum said the sketch he was sitting in front of was like he was flaunting it. I wonder if he even
I mean, you know,
there.
Yeah, because, you know, if you say you got a sketch that looks similar to you, if you want to look like you don't know anything about it and it's not you, you sit right in front of it, you know? Hold on, y'all. I got to download this real quick and let y'all listen to it.
If there's a reward, she may have come forward.
Well, there is a reward, and that's what somebody was saying today on one of the things I listened to, that they were already saying how that with the reward, somebody, you know, maybe that's why that they come forward about it, but I'm not sure. 1 second here. don't know why I'm not getting that. Okay, wait a minute. All right.
No, TS, we ain't doing that.
What?
Tommy and I disagree on the John Benet Ramsey case. We are not doing that.
What?
You and I are not. We're not presenting our views on the John Ramsey
I
case.
might present my view on the John Benet Ramsey case.
I'll be absent
And
that night.
you can present your views, but I'm going to have my facts in order of why I do believe. You know, I think the one thing is the biggest thing in the John Benet Ramsey
Hey,
case.
Mike.
The biggest thing is they're fixing to know for sure on who killed that little girl because they're doing that DNA retrace. They're going back and tracing the DNA back at the scene, but we'll see. The biggest, let me just tell you what I think. How Dina totally disagrees with me. I believe the mother had something to do with it. Now, I'm going to tell you why I do. Because who had access to the exact amount of money that he got on his bonus? Not too many people. The daddy, her, and here's my theory. She maybe got caught. You know, I'm not sure if maybe she wet the bed. Maybe she was accidentally pushed and she hit her head, and maybe they panicked. So they staged this crime scene. I mean, the father finds her, picks her up, carries her upstairs, totally destroys the crime scene. You know, first off, it was the police department totally dropped the ball on this case. No, I mean, what they should have done the minute they were there, the police should have searched the house, not the parents. If the parents want to stand behind the police and walk behind them, that's fine. But I prefer the police check the house by themselves. And when the body was found, they should have left the body where they found it and evacuated the house completely, sealed it off, and then gone. The head investigator should have gone and got a search warrant. They should have sealed where the body was, but gone and got a search warrant, brought it back, and then done a thorough search warrant of the house. But you have all these people running around in the house. The father finds the body. Come on, guys. You know, I just think that there's too much there. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I just think, who knew the amount of money? Somebody at work, maybe.
Okay, they're back on Delphi.
I'm waiting for something to download. I can't make it download any faster.
To me says, I personally don't think Richard Allen could control himself from showing up at the searches. I agree.
He may have.
I think he wanted to know how close they were.
He may have showed up to searches, or he may have stayed away thinking, I don't want to be near that, you know, because you just don't know what his mentality was. All right, now here's a clip. I don't know how long it is. We may stop it in the clip here.
Because we didn't know where he was. And like I said, Doug Carter had made mention of that, is he could be living right amongst us, hiding in plain sight. And that's what came.
Tell me just how you're feeling.
Have anything to say to Richard Allen?
No, I'll save that for when I see him face to face.
So what went through your heart and your mind when those charges were read?
It was a kind of bittersweet. You know, it's I just know that there's another job, another hill for us to climb ahead of us. But we're up for the challenge. We're going to keep after it. We're not going to stop.
Why is it important to keep the tip line alive at this point?
Because I want every stone unturned, every bit of information that's out there pertaining to this case. I want the investigative team to have that information.
How confident are you that the police have their man?
That's what the courts will decide, right? But I'm confident. I've always had confidence in the investigative team.
What keeps you hopeful?
Yes, I'm hopeful.
What keeps you hopeful?
The faith and the strength of our family, and the fact of I know how hard the investigative teams work, and they're nonstop.
Who asked that? Who asked that?
Oh, I wanted to speak about your faith because I know it was important to you.
If it were your child, would you have an option not to be hopeful?
No, absolutely not.
That's why we're hopeful.
You all,
Okay,
can I just ask you one question? Maybe you can put a rumor to rest or something. There's a report going around right now that this Mr. Allen actually processed some photos for the family at the CVS. Do you know if that's accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay, and that he didn't charge the family when they came in to claim the photos?
That is correct.
Okay, and you know that firsthand. We are always careful to be accurate.
all right, one more question.
Do you think the media coverage of this has been fair?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys in the media have been certainly more than fair. I mean, don't get me wrong. We've had our share of shots taken at us, and that's fine. And hopefully, those people will now be able to reflect in the mirror and say, oh, maybe that wasn't the case. So, reservations and things like this is always the better case, right? It's the better judgment. We all know that, and that's just how we are, right? I don't cast judgment on something until I know for sure. And
Okay, thank you, folks.
that's where we're at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Come through here.
Ma'am, you guys come in.
Wait a minute. I didn't mean that bad. No, I just, yeah, I really did.
This is our church.
Thank you both.
What's that?
Great question.
Which one?
Well, that's interesting. That's the family of the murder girl. So, Mike, you said that you have a trusted source that Richard Allen was a second. I'm going to show y'all that, what he said. Richard Allen was the second administrator of the Anthony Shots account. KK totally rolled on him. Said, I'm in law enforcement. Felt that since the arrest. I agree that somebody is talking, and that
makes sense.
that would make a lot of sense. And correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't he in jail already on something else, on those porn charges or something like that? That isn't that Klein? Isn't it Klein? It's what's his first name?
Anthony Shots.
No, this guy rolled on him. This guy right here. You talking about him, aren't you?
He is in, yeah.
Yeah. See. Yeah. He's been kind of at the forefront under that other stuff. So
we're hanging together.
then, and you know what? It may be that he also is the second man that we're talking about, in this, and that may be why the indictment or the arrest warrant is sealed, because they don't want to develop. They don't want to show their source. Now, I don't know if y'all know this. I know if you're in law enforcement, you know this, but I've worked with hundreds of informants when I worked narcotics, and you try to keep, when you use an informant, you try to keep your informant's name as private as long as you can, because the defense will get his name. If the informant is there and witnesses a felony, then you've got to disclose him to the defense when it goes to trial, because he witnessed a felony. You've got to. But if somebody's using someone as a confidential informant that is a reliable confidential informant, it's possible that they can keep his name completely off the record with a few. It has to be with a few circumstances. It has to be just right. But in this case, they may be trying to hold that out of the public until they go for their preliminary hearing and then they go for trial, and they may be in jail. They may be in jail and agree to testify for a lesser charge on this crime. As instead of being maybe accessory after the fact or whatever. Let's see. Okay, do we know if he was the one of the LE that is out of jail? That
The one LE let out of jail.
Elliot,
Take him to the scene.
yeah, let out jail. The show them. He's showing them.
Remember, he was showing them the pond or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. One thing too. Somebody told him about the stuff in the water. That's the one thing. I feel like maybe that was a location that some material from the scene, maybe the souvenir was dumped. Maybe the souvenir was thrown in the water because unless you're hunting for a gun or you're hunting for a knife, which it could have been used in the crime, a gun or a knife or a souvenir, then they might have thrown it in the water at that location. They were told about it through a source. They went out there and are trying to find it. I don't know that I don't know that why that would be the case if it wasn't. They had to be searching for something out there, some piece of evidence out there in the river. And then maybe they found what they needed, tied it to that through this informant. And, I know that a lot of stuff is going to come out in the preliminary hearing when they have it in February or January, February, whenever that is. I was surprised that they didn't go ahead and do it in November,
Cheat No More says, so Thomas, do you think he kept the souvenir for a while and then threw it away after the fact?
He may still have it. That may be something, it depends. That
if it was a group of them, it could be anything.
Yeah, but let's just say he acted alone, but this other guy knew about it, or he maybe,
okay,
who knows? I don't know anything about it. See, personal opinion is the only reason they have sealed the PC probable cause affidavit for people to call and give them more information on RA. I believe that have everything they need for conviction. Just my opinion. Yeah, I agree with that. Exactly. I know that. Well, in the press conference, he even said that. He said, we encourage you, if you know anything, to call us, any information that you think could be helpful. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And we'll find out probably in the preliminary hearing if they televise it or if they allow the press in there, which for a preliminary hearing they probably will. I've never known one that's been sealed.
State police have custody of Keegan.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think that am I wrong about this? But wasn't the information that Keegan had talked to the girls online that day, the day they went missing? He admitted to that. Do y'all remember that? I think that's what I read somewhere, that he had talked to the girls, and he was basically catfishing them, saying he was this other person using a different type of photo, saying he was rich and all this other kind of stuff. The past year, certainly probably checking. For the search of the river, and yes, he did talk to them. Well, that would make a lot of sense. KK, the Civil War reenactor, that's in prison now. I don't know. Yeah, you're searching for the river. They're probably searching for a weapon. I doubt. I don't know what could. Um, yeah, contact with Libby. So he might have suggested, "Hey, y'all meet me somewhere," and then maybe they acted as a couple. If they acted if both of them acted together, and all of this stuff was held out for all this length of time that they didn't tell on each other, you know, it says something about their relationship. But when
Well, if you got something on
well,
somebody,
that's
you
what I'm
know
saying.
somebody.
If
You know,
Keegan is facing 30 years in prison for child porn, in which I'm from Alabama, and you get caught with child porn in Alabama, you're going away for about 25 or 30 years. So if he's facing 30 years in prison, just say, for child porn and probably a bunch of other stuff, and trying and saying, look, we're fixing to tie you to this crime and you're fixing to maybe get the death penalty, then
it's like
yeah,
Mike
you're
said.
right. Exactly. You'll cut him a deal, a sweetheart deal on it, and let maybe all of his crimes run concurrent, and maybe be out of jail in 10 years or so. Then it'll take a devil to get a devil. I agree 100%, and that's unfortunate because they're both. This guy Keegan is, you know, he'll do that kind of stuff. But Mike, let me ask you something. You being in law enforcement, also like myself, I'm retired cop. Uh, don't you feel like though that if a guy is going to kill in this method and stage the crime scene as the FBI has said, and take a souvenir that maybe he's done this before? I get the feeling that this is not his first time.
Well, and how many times has he done it since 7 years ago?
5 years
5 years ago.
I don't know if he would, if
Not
he
in that
did,
town.
maybe somewhere else. Yeah, I don't know.
Him and Keegan may have made friends elsewhere.
Well, I just believe that if he's gonna do it this way as they reported, maybe he's done it before. It's hard to believe that this is his first time. I don't know. Um, what do you think, Mike? If you got an opinion on it.
Absolutely didn't wake up at the age of 44 and decide to commit a double suicide.
Yeah, double homicide. Yeah, I agree with you.
Suicide. Oh Lord, I'm tired.
Especially the fact that he staged the scene, unless he was with somebody and they helped do that, and especially taking a souvenir. I just think he's done this before, either maybe as a kid, maybe a long time ago. I mean, it doesn't mean they have to do it and be doing it once every 3 or 4 years. He could have done it 10 years ago. He could have done it before he moved there. A lot's to be seen. I don't know. Richard Allen has access to Anthony Schott's account. Yeah, I don't know. I think that maybe that a lot more of this will come out where he's actually done this before. The fact that he's never been arrested doesn't mean he's never committed a crime. It just means he hadn't been caught.
Yeah, see, I agree with you, Mike.
I think he's a serial killer. Reminds BTK. You're right. He could have been posing as somebody else in the community. He's got, he's yeah, Jackson. He may have been, well, he may have been arrested, but he does have an alias. But what arrest is he been? Said it didn't appear to be arrested, but he did have an alias. But I don't think he's been arrested for I would like to know if he's been arrested for being a peeping Tom or indecent exposure or some type of minor sexual type into crime, something that's going to put him in that category of being a real creep. Has
I
he
would look.
do that way?
I would look also to where him and the other guy were in the same area at the same time. Same
Yeah,
time
that's
period.
true. But I would like to know if his arrest, or if he has been arrested, what type of arrest. Is it, indecent exposure? Is it peeping Tom, prowling? Is it, stalking? What is it? What type of arrest has he been arrested for? I want to know what his past is, and just because that he hasn't been arrested or nothing that they can find doesn't mean he hasn't committed a crime. That was one thing BTK did, Yeah, that's what I heard, that they couldn't find an arrest. Yeah, thing to me. Yeah, well, it's just like, look at Bundy. He wasn't arrested until after he did his killing. He got arrested then, when he got caught after he had actually committed a crime. He was in law school. He was a student law. He was a law student. So yeah, I agree with you.
Who?
Video of him on a hike in Tennessee. Not sure what year, but it was about an hour away from Summer Wells. Well, I don't know, Lori. There's
What is it? The FBI says on any given day in America, there's 25 serial
well,
killers.
they said there's estimated about between 25 and 35 serial killers roaming America at any one time, and
That's the ones they know
That's
of.
just the guess. They don't know of them. That's
I
just
mean,
a guess.
yeah.
Because it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. And Mike, if you want to email me and just touch base with me, I'd love to talk to you and love to meet you or talk to you on
Bring him on here one day.
on email. And if you wanted to come on either in person or under just talking, that'd be fine too. But you can email me at themissinglivestream@gmail.com. I would just, I promise not to divulge where you work, but you might just enlighten me what you do. I think that a lot of the stuff that we'll find out a lot more details in February, or whenever the preliminary hearing is. But I appreciate it. If Keegan gave him up, then we'll probably know a whole lot more. And if he did get some type of deal with I'm sure he'd still go to jail, but he probably won't be charged with anything, as far as charged with the crime, if he was there or knew about the crime, Yes, Charlie, we are in Nag,
North Carolina.
Nag, is it Nag?
Nags Head.
Nags Head, yeah.
North Carolina.
We had to look it up and see why it was called Nags Head. We're in Nags Head, North Carolina, on the Outer Banks, in an RV park with zero power plug-in. We are dry docking, as they say. And we have solar and all kinds of stuff that's giving us power.
Says, I also thought the Evansdale double girls murder was committed by the same perp. That's so rare, 2 girls at once. Evansdale? I don't remember that, do you?
I do. The name's real familiar. It is because you don't know. But you see, you got one girl, these 2 girls, one was a little bit larger in size, so she might have she may have, I understand one of them tried to fight, so it may have been her, but the small one, he could have just incapacitated pretty much right away. And Tommy, do do more videos in the daytime. You talking about videos here, this channel, Gail? Our other channel, we do our RV channel. We do ours in the daytime. We do on Wednesday night and Sunday night. We have something out. It's very hard to do anything on this channel in the daytime because we got so much other stuff going on.
Beach Bum has an idea for you.
Okay, what's this?
Do a few short uploads to plug the topics. We could do that on shorts.
Yeah, we could do it on shorts.
Didn't think about that.
I turned Dina loose on that on shorts.
I like shorts.
Yeah, she's a short person. Well, it's been an hour and a half right now. We will call it a night, and we hope that you would visit our other channel too. And Mike, if you see us out on our, I'm trying to find out how I did that. I know how I did that. If you see our other channel, the 1 Million Mile Road Trip, this is the a little thing of it. So 1 Million Mile Road Trip, come join the journey. We have videos that come out every Wednesday and Sunday night at 6 o'clock for the most part. There are I've already got videos scheduled to come out Wednesday night and Sunday night already done. So this video about Nags Head and the lighthouse and where the Wright brothers flew and all that are probably out in another 3 or 4 weeks because we're driving from one place to another, and with everything else, it takes a few days to get out. All righty. So thanks for coming out and being with us. I appreciate it, Mike. If you could contact me, and we'll talk sometime, either on here on the phone or on the computer or whatever. And we do appreciate everybody coming out tonight.
We look forward to those emails that are going to be
yeah,
sent
absolutely.
to us.
Look forward to the emails and watch our other channel. We got a lot of good stuff coming up on it. We're running about 1,055 subscribers over there, and we've had a lot. We do a lot of shorts, a lot. Dina does a whole lot of shorts with the animals,
Especially the donkey.
And we're having a real good time over there. So we sure would appreciate it. And y'all have a great night. We love y'all, every one of you. Good night, y'all.
Bye, y'all.